going on, y'all? The non-amazing Lucas, aka the amazing Dusty. Dusty Hat, Crybaby, the amazing racist. He's still crying all over Carmelo Anthony again. It's nasty work. Let's check this out. Don't forget to hit the like button. Also subscribe if you haven't, especially if you want to keep watching videos of me roasting amazing Lucas. All right, let's get into the cry session.
Oh my goodness. So the more that comes out about the Carmelo Anthony trial, the more it starts to feel like a setup, bruh. Because I was so focused on the witnesses, right? And I was like, their inconsistent testimony, it conflicting with the records that they gave to law enforcement at the time, the friend who betrayed them on the stand. I was so focused on that and, the social ramifications of them going back and dealing with Metcalf that I didn't even think about the attorneys. One of the attorneys on both sides happened to work together, the defense and the prosecution at one point in time. And you have to think about, well, if we know that there's going to be social ramifications and repercussions for the kids if they were to go against, Metcalf, who clearly is a bully, what do you think about the ramifications of a white attorney in Texas who happens to get, to get off, a black kid who's been accused of taking yeeting a white kid? Do you understand the ramifications of that? He would have to leave the state. Hit any type of law in that state, he would be done.
No. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Is he about to pull this conspiracy out? You'll say anything to justify what Carmelo did, huh? Even though he was wrong. He was wrong. He deserves more time. There's no need to make any kind of conspiracies or theories. None of that. He was wrong. And I'm black. I'm not going to let that bias my decision making and my ability to see things and critique it. He was wrong. There's no justifying that. Lucas, people like Lucas that just want to spew a bunch of delusional nonsense out here, they're crazy. They're the ones that's really hurting the country, trying to cause a divide. They want to create a beef between races.
He would be done. Because he'd be seen as a traitor, as a race traitor. That's what they would view him as. Damn. The more you start to view it from that perspective, where, hey, this defense attorney threw the trial, he threw Carmelo to the wolves, it all starts to make sense.
So this Carmelo Anthony defense, I've seen something like this before in person, but I was able to put a stop to it. Thank God for the defendant. A good friend of mine, when we were around 24 years old, got charged with a serious felony, and he was looking at 25 years in prison. Now, they didn't have a lot of evidence against him, but he didn't have much of a defense either. And he calls me one day from court. Now, he had paid a lawyer $15,000. And he calls me one day from court and he's freaking out. He's like, hey man, I don't understand what's going on. He's like, they said that trial starts tomorrow. And I said, excuse me? How do you not know that trial starts tomorrow, bro? Like, what the fuck are you doing? And I go, your lawyer hasn't even spoke to me. I was a witness in the case. And he's like, right? I go, who has your lawyer spoken to? What kind of investigation have they done? He's like, I don't know. And he's like, please, let me talk to your dad. Let me talk to your dad. My dad was a former judge. I handed the phone to my dad. And he tells my dad, yeah, I don't understand what's going on. What should I do? And my dad says to him, listen, I'm not your lawyer. I can't give you legal advice. But what I can tell you is that if you go to trial tomorrow, make sure you bring your toothbrush because you're going to prison. And he's like, what? He's like, it appears your lawyer has not mounted any kind of defense or done any work, to not talk to witnesses. Sounds like your lawyer's throwing you to the wolves. So he went in there and in open court fired his lawyer, asked for continuance. I ended up going and helping him find a new lawyer who did a wonderful job, and he got acquitted.
When it comes to jury selection, I know people want to say, well, it wasn't an all-white jury. Yeah, how about this? Well, it's not all black people who commit crime. Do you feel okay in saying that? But no, they would never say, well, per capita, right? when we look at the jury selection, when we look at, how many white people, black people were on the jury, well, white people were vastly overrepresented in the jury selection.
Oh my gosh. Yo, fam, you will make any single excuse to make it seem as if what Carmelo did was right when it wasn't. Yo, he went there with an intention. He went to antagonize someone so he can have an excuse to do what he did. And now to sit here, try to raise funds, make yourself seem like you're some black martyr in order for you to get off of a nasty, nasty crime. And a lot of people that just have a lot of hate and disdain in their heart towards white people, more in particular, they're going to rally behind it because they're using this the same way they tried to use the O.J. Simpson trial. Like, yeah, man, this is black versus. No, it ain't. This is nasty versus the justice system. And the justice system, they was able to get them in jail, but 35 years is trash, bruh. That's life right there. That's like, if it was on some situation where you was really like scared, you versus 40 people, it was on this John Wick type flow, right? It would have been a different thing. You went there, antagonizing them, talking a bunch of trash. You could have just moved. If I sat down somewhere, I go to like a game or something and they say, hey, you in the wrong section, I'm going to go, oh, my bad, and get up and leave. Hopefully they can direct me to the right section. I'm not going to sit there and beef with them now. I'm not going to be all super thug gangster. Yeah, I dare y'all to move me. I don't even think when I was young, I was on that type of time. And if I did, I probably apologized a few seconds later after I realized I was sounding crazy. I was bugging if I did that. Why can't we just hold ourselves accountable or hold other people accountable, especially if we're going to use the whole quote unquote community thing? So let's hold ourselves accountable. Hold the community accountable. Someone has to tell the truth. It's not going to be Amazing Lucas. That's for sure. It definitely won't be him.
Jury selection. Now you can say, well, that doesn't mean they can't, be impartial. Sure. But given the history of this country, given the history of Texas, it's going to be very difficult to come to that conclusion. Were they impartial when it came to Emmett Till? Were they impartial when it came to a litany of cases? Historically, when it comes to impartiality and white ignorance, they don't go together. I'm just letting you know that goes together like water and oil. So naturally, you would understand.
Goes together like you and your dusty hat. In fact, I think it's stuck there. How dare you use Emmett Till for this? This is crazy. How dare you? The gall. Way different. He wasn't, way different. This dude Carmelo wasn't just going to the store or hanging out with friends. He didn't whistle or nothing. Like, this dude went there antagonizing, trying to pick at people with the hopes. Wish someone would, so he could dig in his backpack and grab his Mickey Mouse cartoon and get to work. That's way different. That's so different, bro, from Emmett Till.
So naturally, you would understand, if you're not being intellectually, disingenuous, why many people, including other white people, would be concerned about that.
Had Carmelo Anthony been a white boy and Austin Metcalf and his group of friends would have been black people, we'd have never even seen this in a courtroom. Hell, they probably would have never even filed charges or pulled out the handcuffs. The same people now that are crying for Metcalf's life would be cheering in the streets and applauding him if the roles were reversed.
If Carmelo Anthony had been white, not only would he have not been convicted, there'd have never been charges.
Because y'all were so evil, and still are, that y'all were persecuting the white people who were defending black people back in the day, and even still today. But we won't go down a history lesson. But that being said, now we see, there was no black people, majority white, elderly at that. And then you got Asians and they want to say, oh, they're not white. Got you. We'll look over that hustle, right? Because that's an obvious hustle. But despite that, let's say all you needed was one. All you needed was one person to sympathize and empathize, or at least to believe beyond a reasonable doubt, right? That, no, I think this was definitely self-defense and they haven't proven beyond a reasonable doubt that it wasn't. Just one. Then we look at who was called to the stand.
Why would the race matter? Why would that matter? Unless you're trying to use it to pressure somebody to say the wrong thing, to lie, just because they black. Is that what you're insinuating? You wanted someone that was like, blackity black, 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 when it came to what they represent, and they over there acting like like you. They over there acting fake woke. Like, yeah, brother, I'm over here doing these pep rallies. Like, shut up. That's what you wanted? You wanted that type of time? You wanted them to be on the jury so you could get the result that you prayed for? Nah, Chief. It don't work like that. It shouldn't be about race. This ain't no setup. There's no conspiracy, right? I don't even know who defended him, but I know there was no defense, as in there was nothing they could actually say that wouldn't sound ridiculous to people that has common sense. But if you woke, you might just believe whatever, right? Whatever the non-amazing Lucas tells you. But tell me what you think down in the comment section. Hit the hype button. Also, subscribe and sign up for memberships if you're able to. It helps out a lot. See what other videos I dropped today. Binge if you can. It really helps out, especially if you want to keep these videos going. You want me to keep talking about Amazing Lucas? Check my channel out. Subscribe.